Doris, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, I will end welcoming you back into our live stream with our audience. Thanking everyone that's in the audience, especially our moderator. And so, L'Daialogue, you are back in the building, brother. So, how are you
Yes,
today?
yes. I thought I was doing good. I mean, my phone Riverside hating on me a little bit, but that's all right. Well, I'm blessed.
As
And
you
how are
should
you
be, as
doing?
you should be. You got Ovaground Deluxe Edition. I'm doing well. I'm not nervous at all.
Yeah.
Again, this is a new take that we're doing with the audience and everything. Our moderator, she has been amazing. Shout out to our moderator
Shout out to the
who is
moderator.
taking care. I know, man. She's taking care of the chat. I'm not sure if you can see the chat. We got about 8 people in the audience right now. And if
Okay.
anyone wants to join in the conversation, feel free to do so. We'd love to have you on and talk with us. So while I have the artist, L'Daialogue, let's jump into some questions. My very first question I got to ask you, brother. When did you fall in love in hip hop? What was that song or that movement or that time frame for you when it came to you being introduced and holding very firm to hip hop, the music?
I wouldn't shoot. I can. So I don't think anyone ever asked me that. I can't say particularly hip hop, but I know music. I grew up in the church. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so I grew up in the Kojic church. So I remember maybe church music more than hip hop. Period. And I would say maybe 11, 12. But then even then, you were listening to hip hop then, but in my frame of reference, it was always localized. So the hip hop that I was listening to was, you would hear stuff on the radio, but what I was hearing from the streets was what I was seeing. So, back in those days, I was listening to DJ Spanish Fly and DJ Squeaky in Memphis, like just underground stuff. And then I kind of went back. So by the time I was a teenager, obviously, the tribes and I guess you would say early Dilla and stuff like that. That's where I kind of found my footing. But like straight out hip hop, I mean, you knew it was around. You saw the Run DMCs, you saw the LL Cool J's, but like I saw things locally. So like that kind of reflects a lot more on the music. Plus, like I said, just music in general, my basis is always going to be the church because that's what I remember from a child, you know.
That's right. Being that soul stirring music,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely,
And never
definitely.
letting go of that. Probably even using those inspirations because when we think about the church and the music that it produces, it's supposed to move people. It's supposed to inspire. So having that as an example of having someone on the microphone that's inspiring you to think higher, that's a wonderful start to any type of music that anyone can approach to, right? What was
Oh yeah,
like one of your
definitely.
favorite church songs?
Shoot, man. I used to like before, they say I'm woke, whatever. I used to like Amazing Grace until I found out the backstory of Amazing Grace. I'm like, nah, I don't really rock with Amazing Grace no more. But I grew up listening to a lot of the mass choirs, like Mississippi Mass Choir and like LA Mass Choir. So like having you there, like Kurt
Mhm.
Franklin is way, by that time I might have been like a teenager, but like just remembering from like a kid, I remember like the
Yeah.
big choirs and stuff like that. So,
That's right. And that is reminiscent because you almost have like a choir on your albums. You are featuring so many dope artists for
oh
your
yeah,
music. I can definitely see that lineage, that alignment of your child of God in Christ roots, along
yeah.
with those hip hop roots, which is making a super dope sound.
Actually, you want to know
Now,
something? But before,
yeah,
I was
talk to
telling,
me.
I was telling my little sister last night because I was telling her like, yeah, I'm about to do, man, an interview with my girl Mel. I ain't seen her. I ain't seen you about 20 years. I know. But I said the funny
Yeah.
thing, I said, you want to know something? I said, Mel, the reason I met Lyric Hill and BJ, like the whole euphonetics. And when I thought about it, I said, I remember the day at Xavier, you were like, oh, you rap? Hey, these my guys from Dillard, they rap too. 1999. I remember. It's just like you get older, you be like, dang, when did I meet Chuck and them, I met them through you. Because you'll think, like, you know how
That's
people
right.
make these stories and be like, yeah, I met it. No, I met it through mail. Over there by St. Joe. I remember when it happened. It was freshman year, and I was like, I met them, and I've been rocking with them.
Yep.
They on the project. You know what I'm saying? I've been rocking with them all this time. But yeah, that's the connection. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
That's a long
That's right.
time
I
ago,
appreciate
dude.
you giving me that. Yeah, 99. I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
it's a long
that
time
was
ago.
a time to be alive. And I remember too when we were out in that courtyard. I think we were freestyling. Like it was a group of us
Yeah,
trying to freestyle out there and have a
yeah,
cipher and
yeah,
all. And that just speaks so much. Thank you for those flowers, Don. Because yes, hip hop is me.
yeah.
I'm very true to this, not new to this, and this is my opportunity in this type of a project to be able to showcase those movements and those time frames because it's so, such a phenomenal um, growth in that. You know how much confidence and how much brain capacity you truly have to be an MC. Whether you have a degree or not, right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
truly be someone who has content, has some type of a background, some type of a stance, especially when you think about that underground hip hop versus that mainstream. And that's something too that I really appreciate with your music is that it brings that traditional underground hip hop sound to a more contemporary world, right? So thinking about
Yeah.
rap in 99 and 2025, what are some differences that you see or that whether they're great or not, what are some differences that you see from back when we were out, having a cipher on Xavier campus, Xavier, New Orleans, Louisiana, or even
Mm-hmm.
now as a seasoned artist that we are? What kind of differences do you see?
At least speaking from a Memphis perspective, the whole rap game sounds like my city. And I mean, like, not even when I listen to the radio now, it sounds like I would say 1989 to 1995. Like that period, that's what the music sounds like. And it reminds me, like, dang, they was that far ahead. The cadence, the sampling, the drums. I would go as far as to say New Orleans and Memphis. I would say like the game sounds like New Orleans when we were in New Orleans, maybe like 98 to like 2002. And then like just other rap, like from Memphis, I would say from 1989 to maybe 1995. Early Memphis, because it sounds from Drake on the way down. They sample stuff that when I'm hearing these samples, I'm like, Drake has a song called Non-Stop. And the dude that he samples on that song Non-Stop is an underground guy named Mac Daddy Jew. And I'm like, how did he
Mm.
find that? That's an underground tape from Orange Mound. This is when things was segmented in the city where it was like, okay, North Memphis, South Memphis, Westwood, Orange Mound. Like we were listening to our own tapes. My neighbor was Project Pat and Juicy J. They were way older than me, but they lived right behind me. Yo Gotti went to my high school. Who else went to? It's so many people of that era. You know what I'm saying? But I would say that. I would say also the game has become I would say like kind of narrow in the spectrum of how they speak of certain things because being as somebody that grew up in the 80s, the real 80s, grew up in the real 90s where it was a choice for you to be in a gang. You know what I'm saying? Like you were being forced to be in a gang. You know what I'm saying? Or you were being forced by situations and circumstance to actually have to sell drugs or have to make these things. And I'm not being moral and all of that. I'm just saying that this is just what I saw as a child growing up. And then to see it now where you have like kids, I feel like they come from relative privilege, kind of they're in gangs. And I'm like, what are you in the gang for? You didn't grow up around this. Oh, well, it's cool. Or what do you say? Like, trust me, I don't condone selling drugs, illegal substances, whatever. But what are you doing this for? Well, nah, it's cool, and I'm this, and this, and to see that when I left to go to New Orleans, I mean, that was like a turning point in my life. I was 17 years old. I mean, I had folks that were in jail. It's folks that was in jail when I went to Xavier that's getting out now. You know what I'm saying? They were throwing football numbers at kids. This is 3 strikes. I grew up in the midst of the beginning of that. So it's like you see that being kind of like the only thing that's kind of being promoted these days. And at least I could say, at least when we were in school, we at least got that balance at least to say, it wasn't necessarily a regional thing, but it was a sound thing where you had a choice to be like, well, I listen to Lil Kim, but I like Lauryn Hill. You know, you had that choice. Now you don't really have that choice. I mean, not on a mainstream level, and that's why that's why I would say the biggest thing now is that it's just you don't really have a choice from a corporate standpoint. I would say that you have more of a choice now, but it has to be more in you to be like, I want better or I want to listen to it. Because an artist like me is someone you're going to probably have to find. You're not going to catch me on terrestrial radio. I'll be on satellite radio, but you're not going to find me in like mainstream um, places, even though maybe sometimes the beats or whatever, because you get into what I'm talking about. I don't talk about the exact same things these other guys are talking about. And this, the worst thing is because everyone's talking about the same thing. And it doesn't make sense these days. Like you're not
Right.
trapping in 2025. AI, we into tech right now. You're not doing that. The way that they have triangulation, they got something on your phone right now where they're pinning people on crimes where it's GPS like in cases. And I got brothers, like my actual siblings, you know what I'm saying, where they pulling out phones and I wasn't over here. They pulling.
The cell tower will definitely track that location. Uh, and just to add to what L'Daialogue was saying, and so with the technical issues, we heard what the brother was definitely saying is that how hip hop has changed, but it's going into this era of bringing back that 80s 90s feel, right, where you have that 80s 90s type of a cadence and lyric and even content wise, because in the 80s and the 90s, not only was it entertainment, it helped to form identities of people, right? Having that type of music, that type of styles to present to the audience made it worthwhile. I would even say hip hop being a coping mechanism for some, not just what we see in the United States, but all over the globe. Hip hop has these festivals, they have this
Yeah.
pedestal of what hip hop truly brings to every culture all around the world. So the dialogue is absolutely correct when it comes to those pieces of how being able to use this form of expression and seeing it grow, in different aspects, whether you are the one that actually may have the survivor's guilt by going off to college and getting out of the situation, or if you're that person that's in that situation trying to see that silver lining, trying to see that out. Hip hop music is what makes it common for us all. We can all have
Yeah.
that way to express ourselves through the music. So I appreciate you sharing that dialogue, because that's very true, especially with that 80s 90s type feel that the newer artists that are coming about. I also want to make mention about how you said about that underground, you having to really conduct your research to be able to find those kind of artists. And I think back in the day, when we were younger, when we were kids, I think that's what made those bonds even more special, is that to find somebody that knows Dale the Funky Homo Sapien, like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, how do you know him and what songs do you know, and then being able to exchange that. And back in our day was analog, it wasn't any digital, so it wasn't
Hmm.
just sending a link, it was sharing a CD or burning a CD or having the cassette tape. So that's very contrasting to how it is now with the digital way. And I hope people find more out about you, La Dialogue, whether it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio. Someone's listening. And I said this on a prior podcast. Tyler, the creator, promotes that, where it's not just about the numbers. You're not out here trying to compete with anyone. You are making and creating your own lane. Being outside the box, damn the box. We make our own boxes, and that's exactly what you're doing with your music. Because again, um, a lot of artists will chase trends. They'll do what's trendy, right? They'll do what whatever they think everybody else wants to see. That's what they do. But from my perspective, you're a storyteller. You're an animator, and so it's like you're making something deeper. So tell us about these seeds that you have watered in the Overground Consistent Super Deluxe Collector's Edition. Tell us about those seeds that you're trying to grow in the minds and the ears of your audience. Yep. And again, with that, when he jumps back in, no worries with the technical issues. Yet with the sounds from the Overground, it definitely
Yeah.
comes from a storytelling, something much deeper that these artists, along with the dialogue, are trying to grow. So the dialogue,
Yo.
tell us about these seeds in this garden that you're creating with this latest installment of Overground Consistent.
Ironically, I mean, I dropped the original Overground consistent probably a few months prior, but just I had some. I was working on other projects, but it was just like a lot of deaths in the family and stuff. It was a lot of like personal things that was going on that kind of hindered when I was trying to drop it. But ironically, once I got finished doing the last mixing, you see the clips drop. You see like other guys dropping, and it's like, oh, okay, this spiritually feel right. I said, okay, I'm gonna drop this right now. Now these are companion songs to the original Overground Consistent. The whole my thing is every title that I've ever put out of a mixtape has always been like this. I call it like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So like the original content never content. I dropped that in 2014 because of what I started seeing. Or what's another title? I mean, obviously, Overground Consistent was me kind of telling myself to stay consistent because now you're hearing it now where it's like older MCs, y'all need to drop the music. I'm like, well, we've been dropping. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's just the self-fulfilling prophecy of just kind of keeping yourself going. Now, subject matter wise, I'm talking about a little bit of everything. Me and Chuck got up. You know what I'm saying? The part 3 joint. Me and Moose Harris. I mean, Pivot. That particular song is just kind of like the mantra of where some people feel like they are right now. It's like sometimes you can't do the exact same thing. You might have to pivot. You might have to move and make this move this way. You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking of it from a certain way. Moose Harris is speaking on it from a certain way. But like these songs are, like I said, like how some people say throwaway. They weren't throwaways to me because it was what I was feeling at that moment. And even from like I think the original Overground Consistent where I had album equivalent units now getting licensing situations and getting like these opportunities that music is being used in like films because I see ASCAP statements, so I'm like, dang, someone what I'm saying, using this, but you're seeing stuff now, and they're like just learning what the album equivalent unit is now with Spotify and kind of dealing with streaming, embracing it in a certain fashion, but not necessarily relying on it and using it for a different purpose. But I didn't really get too deep on this particular record. But like I said, it was just a lot of stuff that was going on. A lot of stuff that was going on, like I say, like family wise, personal, that just like, man, you got to keep dropping. That's my mantra to anybody is like, keep dropping. Like, and the reason I say the clips, actually, I was listening to the clips. I was in Hawaii. I was in Hawaii a few weeks ago, and they were like, something. I'm in Waikiki. I'm like, dang, I'm in Waikiki. You know what I'm saying? Chilling. It's just, you listening to it, and that's why I think a lot of people gravitate toward that record, and a lot of people gravitate toward my record. Like, because I mean, when I was younger, the reason I called myself L'Daialogue was because I knew I wasn't gonna be Little Die all these years. So by the time I was like 13, I was like, I'm L'Daialogue. So I get a lot of spins in like France because they think it's French. Ironically, I moved to New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? But I just kept it like that L'Daialogue, because I was looking forward and looking ahead. I'm not going to be little as I am rapping like this. And then I'm not going to be even rapping what I was rapping then now, because, it's easy it's, a lot of people don't stand on the words that they say. I can stand on everything that I say. I don't say a lot of stuff, but it's also being able to stand on what you're saying, but then also I can't let you have everything, because in a certain way, if I talk about certain street things, you'll think I'm glamorizing it. Because that's one thing I hated when I got to college, was that I'm like, y'all don't know what I really came from for real. And ironically, the school is in the middle of Gertown in Holly Grove, and you had the Calio and the Magnolia, right, and we had all that stuff there. I was comfortable. People that went there to school with us was not comfortable. I knew that intimately, and I knew what my purpose
Right.
was there for. Where other people were kind of, gravitating towards certain things and kind of idolizing. I'm like, man, I got a homeboy that's in the feds right now. This is when I was a teenager catching charge. I remember how brutal. That's why I say I can look back at it now. I'm like, the laws are crazy now, but I remember you got caught with a gun in Memphis when I was a kid. They was giving you 15, 20 years. They were throwing you away. Now, when I went to Memphis the last time, I went to the Bass Pro, the pyramid. Walked up in there, eyes bucking. That guy was like, "Oh, well, shoot! All you need is fill out this background form, and you get an AK-47." I said, "Oh, that makes sense. That now you can see what's going on in the streets, where you could just walk in here and get a Kalashnikov, and then, that's just." These are the things where you have to put it in perspective when you're like, well, it's a lot of violence in Chicago. Well, all you need to do is just drive to Gary. Shouts out Freddie Gibbs. Drive to Indiana where the laws are like not as strict, and then just drive right back. There's where all your guns are coming from. It's stuff like that. So it's certain realities that I speak on. Keep it vague in a lot of sense because I don't want to glorify it, but still keeping it real. And even tapping into like Letter to the Tastemakers. I've had 3 of them. And it's speaking to particular people, but it's not. No, I'm speaking to particular people in the real way. Like Elliot Wilson. Yeah, I'm talking to you because it was all cool when certain things was whatever. Now, media is going in a way. I have a degree in mass comm. Media is not the same way it used to be. So now you have people like Melanie doing her thing that independence. We were trying to get a daggone radio antenna. I remember like 15. Shouts out to Dr. Crump too. You know what I'm saying? But like trying to get a radio antenna when everything is like now on your phone, on your laptop, it's technology caught up to a lot of different things, and it made everything equal now. So it's not because you're a journalist that you're better than a Joe Budden who actually raps. I'm not saying he's better, but I'm like, he may be able to get something out of a rapper that you may not be able to get something out of. Or you're so busy trying to get the Drakes and the Jay-Z's, you're not looking at me and other artists and stuff of a magnitude that are coming up. And then it's like, when they come up, it's like, well, hey, Dialogue, why you won't mess with me? And it's like, nah. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it is now. That's why you see a lot of older rappers getting into the podcast game and getting into like the media game, because it's a special thing to control your message in your music, media, and everything else. So,
Instead of letting it be controlled.
Oh yeah,
right?
because
No,
it's
it
a
should
lot
not
of that.
be controlled.
It's a lot of people
A lot of
controlling.
people, unfortunately, that are controlling, and there are people who allow to be controlled.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
I want to
definitely.
take what you just said about listening to clips, and they're talking about Waikiki, and you're being in Waikiki at the same time. You're on a higher vibration when you're looking well past what is in front of you, where it's not just
Stop,
about
Swaggy.
the views on TikTok, it's not about the numbers, it is about trying to secure this legacy. And that's what I hear when I listen to your music, is that you are laying down this legacy, this legendary type sound that encompasses the realness of it all. And everybody can't understand that real. Where before, back in the 80s and 90s, life would be lifing, and you would have that experience, and you might see it in a movie. But
Mm-hmm.
now everybody thinks they're a gangster because, like you say, that cell phone. Okay, I can listen to this song, I can see
Yep.
this, and try to duplicate it. But that real life, though, and I think that's what really captures the audience with true hip hop, is that you can hear the perspective of someone who has been oppressed and suppressed in different situations, and using hip hop as a coping mechanism, whether you are a lyricist or a dancer or even in the fashion of it. Hip hop was created to ensure that the audience that is able to touch can actually grow from that. And I really appreciate too, Don, when you talk about not trying to glamorize, the specifics of the street life. Like, it's nothing fun. It's nothing that anybody should have as a goal for, to be or to even try to look like. But it's also important to stay real and to showcase your identity. So, and your work speaks directly to Black creativity, independence, and evolution. So, in your opinion, what role does hip hop still play in Black liberation or just liberation of all? What role can does hip hop, and do you see artists today still carrying that torch without losing themselves?
I mean, hip hop is going to always be here. I honestly believe people are looking for a new genre. It's no more the 20th century. All the genres were created by Black people too. That's a whole different discussion. But there's no more new genres. It's going to all be derivatives of everything else, and you're going to have us tapping into things. I think what's going to happen now is that and the South is already done it. I'm gonna speak for the South always because we weren't allowed to really sample. So a lot of the music that you had was played. Manny Fresh of the world, the Paul and Juicy, they sampled, but they played. Who was that? What's my guy from Texas, man? Dang,
UGK?
Pimp C. Yeah, I'm about to say Pimp C.
Yep.
Pimp C had to broke out the Hammond, like the old church organ and playing, had the meters playing on Riding Dirty. So right now, I think they're trying to destroy hip hop because it is when you get older. The difference I was telling somebody years ago. I said the difference between Jay-Z and Eminem. Eminem's white, but he's rich and white. So his thing is gonna always be like he's gonna have problems that the general masses are not going to have. He's more aligned to what you consider the elites, even though he thinks and he knows I'm more aligned with these common people, the hoi polloi. You know what I'm saying? Where Jay-Z knows. Jay-Z is up $1 billion and he knows I'm one accusation away from losing it all. Kanye,
Right.
he ain't lose it all, but he lost a lot. And you're one statement
Right.
from losing it all. So that's why, Jay-Z was doing like, he did the Magna Carta, but then he was like, let me go do this 444. You know what I'm saying? Because,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, now Solange put a daggone heel in his side. Ouch. You know what I'm saying? In the elevator. But, he was like,
Yeah.
man, maybe I need
Yeah.
to go and do something a little bit better because I'm getting older. And that's what you're seeing a lot of artists. I think Rick Ross had like a record with like Meek. Might have been like a year ago and it wasn't well received because you didn't really see the growth. Because at a certain point in a certain genre, that's why I keep saying the clips because it's like they talking street stuff, they talking dope stuff, and they done it in a way where it's almost artistic. Yep. A West Side Gun, the Griselda movement is not really too much different than what we doing. It's an artistic value to it that makes it like whatever. Whereas when you have somebody like even Young Jeezy, he like I ain't young no more. I'm Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like he performs records as a capsule of time. But this is not where I am as a man today because you can't tell me. I grew up, you know what I'm saying, in Memphis with Craig Pettis ran Memphis. I didn't see the BMF, but in New Orleans and certain, like you saw the influence of the BMF. I said, you want to know the crazy thing? Meech had been to jail and then got out of jail and people still rapping about stuff before he went to jail. It's just, you can't. It's the bandos are really, when you hear the Migos talk about the bandos is really just, I guess you would say it's a urban interpretation of what the early forms of gentrification in 07, 08, 09. Because in my neighborhood, there was a lot of people leaving these homes, foreclosed on. The drug dealers was like, hey, we're going to sell dope out of these homes. Hence the bando. You know what I'm saying? But like now you can't say that in 2025. The drug laws are very, very harsh. The only good thing I guess you could say now when you talk about drugs and rap is like the fentanyl and the opioid crisis started affecting.
Yep. That's some real spit he's talking. The unfortunateness of all that is inspired in hip hop music is from those realities that the alcoholism, the substance abuse, the trafficking. There's a lot of, again, hip hop being used as a coping mechanism for those types of situations that L'Daialogue was talking about. So yeah, continue on with what you were saying, though, L'Daialogue, about that drug substance.
It didn't get crazy into the opioid, they started affecting other communities. And then now it's like, hey, we need to be more sensitive. We grew up in the crack era. There was no sensitivity to that. I remember somebody put a meme up, and I vaguely remember this song. Yo, mama on crack rock. Like, it was just, or crack is whack. Like, that wasn't a cool. Yeah, now mama, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that wasn't cool. But then now that other groups are being affected, shouts out to Hunter Biden. You know what I'm saying? And other folk, they being affected now. We should be more sensitive, and this and that, and we should have needles and this and this compassion and this empathy that was not given to Black Americans in the 80s or the 90s. And that's something that I feel like I said, just with the game now, it's the game is gonna go back to I was watching Sinners. I'm Sammy. Holding that guitar. It's going to go back to this rawness. It's going to go back to this uncorporate, I guess you would say this uncorporate co-signed music. It's going to still be rap. That's why so many people are going through, they're going back and tapping into, I guess you would say, the indigenous hip hop sounds of certain regions. So now, Big Freedia and all those are people that music we heard, we didn't even see them. Now that people are going to tapping back into bounce. Like, bounce has always been what bounce is, but I mean on an international level. Now they're going back. They're not even going to 3 6 Mafia when I was grown. They going to 3 6 Mafia when I was a preteen. They going way, way back. DJ Squeakies and the DJ Spanish Fly. This records that I heard way, way back. They going back to stuff where you would have to find it on the tape. And that's where the real is coming. And I mean, the youth that are coming up behind it is new to them too. But I think just once you're being fed so much, I used to like McDonald's. I stopped eating McDonald's about 20 years ago. But once you get fed a Big Mac so much, and you just like, I want something different. And I think the corporations thinking nah, they don't want anything different. But the numbers, now they have things called algorithms, which I rap about a lot. They can see nah, this ain't, we putting all this money, we putting millions of dollars behind these sexies and these littles and these others. It's not, what's that girl, Rhapsody? Where's she at? We need some, okay, yeah, it's getting back to that because it's so much fake that is out here right now that people are looking for something real economically. I don't think Black folks have ever been in a situation where we've been on top economically, so we kind of all right with it, but it's squeezing other folks. And they're just like, hey, what the Black folks listen to? And, the clubs are closing. You can't really rock with club music like that anymore. Sections and stuff. It ain't nobody dancing. I mean, they tried with Afro beats. They were trying with Afro beats, but then now they're cutting the legs from Afro beats because now you're using samples. So now all of these companies, Blackwater and Blackstone, all these companies, Primary Wave, they're buying people's catalogs wholesale. Now you can't sample anything. So that's why you're hearing people that are sampling stuff that used to be in the 70s. You hearing folks sample stuff that we was in college. You're like, damn, this song ain't 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? You be like, this is a remake of what Prince say? The samples of the samples of the samples. You're just sampling something that just recently came out because now you're going to have to be original, or you're going to have to be original to yourself because now they have album. Well, I was uploading through my distributor a few months ago. They have things now where if you sample certain things, if you're not chopping it up a certain way, they'll pull your record. That's where it is right now, where it's the feeling isn't there. Well, you can't just sample what you want to sample willy-nilly now. All of these corporations have bought these catalogs up. So that's like you saying where hip-hop is going to be now, we'll make a way. These babies that's coming behind us, they're going to get in front of the piano like I used to. They're going to, and they're going to start making their original music, and it's going to just be original from now. Trust me, you'll see it. I used to say 10 years, you're going to see it now, where it's going to be people are not underground people. They may still sample and they may still do their thing. But as for mainstream people, you're not going to be able to do it on a bigger level because financially it's just not feasible anymore. Now, subject matter wise, the condition is going to change the subject matter because it ain't going to make sense for you to rap about bandos and bricks Cause ain't nobody. I mean, I'm from that. Ain't nobody moving no bricks. Not these young boys. You 3-5 and then you 1 gram it. You ain't really doing what it is, and it's just like it's not translating into music. So now, even with the ratchetness, drill music died because everybody died. You had a op, you make a record, your op shoot you. They shoot you. King Von gone. Quando Rondo they tried to kill Quando Rondo. They shot up his car. Like it, drill music died because everybody killed each other. The only person that really made it out, I've seen in Los Angeles one time, I seen Chief Keef. He said, I'd never go back to Chicago because it's, they say it's demonic. It's like, I ain't gonna say demonic. I would just say it's a condition of poverty. Because give us 10 years or 20 years to be whatever and see where the music is. Matter of fact, go back and listen to music. If we're in 2025, go back and listen to music right before the Great Depression. We were coming up, we were striving. And then the Great Depression hit, and then we got kicked back down. But that's where we are now, where it's like people are trying to say, like, hey, man, I want to hear something a little different. You know what I'm saying? No, knock to Sexy Red or Suki Hunter. She be doing the most. But no knock to that. But hey, let me hear something over here. That's why, girl, I know you in Texas. Girl, I know you tired of a fan right now. No, girl, my little nieces. Because that's where the energy is at. We want to dance. We want to feel positive. We want to be on it. Now, the music don't have to be quasi-positive, but it's going to be where I want to listen to something when I'm riding versus I'm shooting at my ops. Because, like, it used to be in the time when you listen to these records and they weren't real records. Now, the Memphis records was real, but certain places you listen to it, it's like, it's art. No, it's real. You'll hear a record now and, so-and-so, Little D, and Little D dies next week. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's making it real for people now, where they're like, drill music isn't the lick. Yeah, because people were dying when Scarface and them was talking about it back in the day, but now you're really seeing it where someone comes up, and I mean, even they're trying to think with what's my girl from New York, pretty little girl, with the afro, not Sexy Red. What's that girl? They got like they call it like pretty girl. Nah, she from New York. I forget that girl name right now, but they tried something there where it was like, well, we're gonna do cute drill. That ain't gonna because you're gonna have to drill at a certain point. Even my girl Glorilla from my neighborhood, Glorilla and Gloria Hallelujah Woods. That's her real name. I ain't try to put it out there like that. That baby grew up in the church like me. So it's like, yeah, she'll do a little something, and she I'm trying to get this little BET thing with Kurt Franklin. So it's everyone gets that time to grow, but you start off a certain place, but then you elevate. And the people that weren't elevating over this time, they hurting right now. They're like, well, maybe I'll try a podcast. But you weren't a great rapper in the first place. So what makes you think you're gonna be a great orator or that captures people's attention? So that's where it is right now. So I mean, now hip hop is not gonna stop. We gonna always rap. It's a song from 1919 in Memphis. It's by the Beale Street. I think it's the Beale Street Jug Band. It's called Memphis Cocaine Blues. 1919, not 1995. 1919. Talking about doing cocaine in Memphis. So we've always talked about what you think we're talking about now. It's just, it's going to have to be a balance. The balance is karmically, the balance is going to come back because you're going to come outside, man, my bills. I can't throw no money in the strip club. I can't do what I'm going to listen to. That's why you hear a lot of people going toward their Southern soul and stuff. So it's like the people that kind of tap into that, they're going to be the ones that win. I personally believe.
And I hated to cut him off there, but I like when L'Daialogue was talking about that watered down sense of the music and that, that resurgence of wanting something more. Think back, audience, my hip hop family that's here and that's listening, think back to that music 10 years ago, 15 years ago, especially if you're around that age where you can think back to that transition to digital from analog. If you had the cassette tapes and thinking about how that music stirred something in you, as opposed to now where you just have the music on almost as just noise in the background. And so that transition from where music really told a story. They methodically put accompaniments together as opposed to just that entertainment. You know, music not necessarily is used as legacy building as it used to be. But I like how the dialogue is saying that it's coming back to that, like this renaissance of bringing hip hop back to its roots, where it's teaching, we're learning, we are vibrating higher, and then you have I won't say old school because Clips and Jay Z and even the dialogue, you know, although we are seasoned in hip hop, but it's also what Clips had mentioned to say. I think it was either I think it was Pusha T that made the mention that, you know, nobody's too old or too young to do anything. It's going to be straight talent. It's off of what you know, what you can produce, and what you can show. And that epitomizes what hip hop does and brings. And again, the derivative, the things that we keep hearing that are recycled over and over and over again, you know, it loses its substance. But how do we get back to those roots? How do we get back into those moments of listening to that music where you can dance, you can make those connections with others, you can feel that those lyrics expressing how you feel about a certain thing, certain people, even of yourself. I like again what the dialogue was talking about, being original to yourself, right? And I think that definitely clocks it, is original to self, right? Because this podcast is not just about the promotion of hip hop, but the uses, the discourse that hip hop allows and brings. And there's so many different facets to it. Just as if we talked about classical, if we talked about country music, you know, music does that all together. Yet hip hop, for whatever reason, and for the many reasons, it's not necessarily allowed to be placed into those same pedestals or being allowed to be played in those same nuances as many other genres. And so we want to unpack the why. We want to know the why, and we want to push for hip hop to be more than just that entertainment, but to be a part of the dominant narrative because of what it does and what it brings. So I appreciate what the dialogue is sharing and what you're talking about. But let me ask you this, dialogue. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If you could have one producer, living or dead, for a full length album, who would be on your board?
Damn, just one? Hold on, just one?
One producer. They could be living or dead. I'll give you two. I'll let you choose two. But if anybody could be on your boards for a full length album, who would that be, living or dead?
Damn.
I know it's a hard question to think about. You know, there's been several producers, right? And when you think about producing the music, putting that music together, that sound engineering for a full length album, I wonder in the chat. Let's check the chat out. I think he was talking about Ice Spice too. I thought that as well in the chat. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So we're back.
It was Ice
Let me know.
Spice. But yeah. You said two producers, man. Recency bias is gonna probably be like Alchemist or something. Either Alchemist slash Madlib. But for me, I'm gonna keep it Memphis. I would want to do a definitely an album, probably like an OG from Memphis. It would probably be like DJ Spanish Fly or maybe Paul the Juicy. So that would be my slash. So slash Alchemist slash Madlib, either one of them, or I would say Spanish Fly or Paul the Juicy. I mean, they're a production duo, but yeah, I would definitely want to do something with them and just take it somewhere lyrically, because we're from the sonically, the sonic palette is gonna be there, and just take it somewhere else lyrically.
Okay, the audio is messing up just a bit. But I wonder for the audience, and just thinking back on those producers. And then also, I got another question for the dialogue. What if you were stranded on an island and you could only bring 3 albums with you? What albums would that be? And I'm talking to my audience with this while we wait for the dialogue to come back. You were stranded on a deserted island and can only bring 3 albums with you. What would those be? All right. And so asking that to the
Okay.
audience, we got a dialogue back in. Yeah,
You
so
said
we
three
talked,
albums?
you shared your producers. Yeah, if you're stranded on a deserted island, what 3 albums would you bring with you and why?
Mm. Marvin Gaye, Here My Dear. Uh
Okay.
maybe sheesh. Dang it. I probably would have like I need something in Memphis, so it'll be like a dang, it'll have to be a Memphis album. So I'll just put that as Memphis album. Memphis rap album. But dang, just 3?
Okay.
And then maybe let's say something jazz, something different.
That's 3.
I probably would have. You want to know something? Yeah, it would be Marvin Gaye, Here My Dear. It'll be.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know something? I would say 8 Ball MJG in our lifetime,
Okay.
and Volume 1, and then probably just off the top, probably something jazzy, probably like John Coltrane. Giant
That's
Steps.
good.
So if you just
Okay.
said just off the top, it's so many.
That's such an array of genres there too, though, Don. That's really dope. Go from Marvin Gaye and then to John Coltrane and then that Memphis album. I think that would definitely fit the bill on any deserted
Oh
island.
yeah, definitely. I
Um,
mean, Marvin Gaye is a staple in the city of Memphis, and that was one of his critically panned albums in his lifetime. The album when he got divorced, Hear My Dear, it's like a soul blues. Memphis folks love that album. I grew up with that album, so and if you
yeah.
listen to Sipping on Scissor, that's what they sampled. That dun dun. That's what that's
Yeah.
from. So definitely. Dang, just
There
3
you go.
albums? Golly,
In your
man.
hip hop history. Just 3, just the 3.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
some fun questions to ask.
Okay.
Let's
All
start
right.
with that. And again, this is just my first interview of
Yes.
many. I want to welcome you back to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. I want to ask you 2 more questions,
Okay.
and then we'll see if anybody in the audience has a question or 2. So, a hip hop moment or a lyric that still gives you goosebumps every time you hear it, whether it's your music from another artist, a hip hop moment or a lyric that gives you goosebumps every single time you hear it.
Hip hop shit. You only give me one. Golly. For me personally, and I remember when he said it too. If I ever see him, and I've run into a lot of rappers in my life, actually, for real, like really famous rappers. But if I ever see Andre 3000, when he got up on that stage and he said, because I could tell, if you know him, you could tell he was nervous. He was nervous when he said it, but he said it from his heart. When he was like, man, he was like, I got a demo tape, don't nobody want to hear it. But man, the South got something to say. That, ask any lyricist from the down South, when he said that, it was over with at that point. When I saw that, I said, nah, we in there now. Because I'm like, they were the best of us. You didn't send up, this is 94, 95. You didn't send up 2 Live Crew. I mean, no problem, Luke. No dissing. But they ain't go up there. You sent up the best of us. And that's how they was received in the Mecca at that time. No hate to New York, you know what I'm saying? But at that time, that's how they was received. And when he said that, he lit. If there was my grandma used to have like them old gas stoves. There was a pot or like one of them hot water heaters. If it was a pilot light that needed to be lit, he lit that. Because you can tell the South nothing after that. I'm talking about from 95 until now. It was just over at that point. And I always, when I see it, because you could tell, if you know Andre, he wasn't Pac. Like when you saw Pac when he was talking with Suge, that's Pac. Like when Suge was like, yo, that's what my homeboy is saying. Cause Pac is like, yo, if it was, you know what I'm saying, if it was chess, the West Coast women in Hollywood, that's Pac. But when Andre said it, it was nervousness. It wasn't malicious. It was just like, I could just hear it in his head like, damn, man, they booing me. And really, let me keep it real funky. Because if this gets on it gets on Instagram, TikTok, hey man, when they read their name out, I'm gonna put the whole thing in perspective. That go for Salt, Pepper, and I don't know, Play was up there, but definitely Kid was up there when they were like, son, the new group, Outkast. It just so you see when Andre he clapping like, yeah, it's us. They getting booed. Them, Goody, They got booed. And Big Boy said something. You don't even remember what Big Boy said, but he was saying it out of nervousness. There was a little bit of anger, but that's what he felt. And he stood on that. That changed everything. If Andre didn't say that, I mean, the South would have came, but with the way that they came, like, no, we in there. And that's when I saw that, I said, no, it's no turning back. Because they were the lyricists. It wasn't the street guys. It was the lyricists, our poets, our griots from the South. And y'all did that to them? Oh, we finna trap. And actually, in a bad way, put it, man, we about to be trapping and pimping, and we gonna stand on what we standing on. You know what I'm saying? Because by the time we got to New Orleans, girl, they was in City Park in Hummers spinning out like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we just gonna be blinged up. We gonna be we gonna wear our gold teeth. You know, so that was a very pivotal moment. I think people should go back and watch that, because you have to watch it not from when Andre says it, but before. Because when they said that, it took me years to see that. I'm like, why did he say that? And it was just, and I love me some salt. I still love salt. Salt looks beautiful. And when Salt said that, I said, oh, because it was just like, Outkast. I was like, wow. Looking at that then, and then looking at what the group is now, one of the greatest groups. You know, that's crazy. So no, that would be my moment always. I have a few more, but that would be my number one moment.
No, very true. That legendary status, right? No matter what they do, no matter what they make changes to, they are legends.
Oh yeah.
Right, from back then to now and forever will be, for sure. And that is like the pivotal moment, especially for us in the South. Yep. In this time frame. I think that did make a charge where then you had the emergence of No Limit and Cash Money.
You said a charge. That was an atomic bomb. And you got to think, Andre and Big Boy was 18 at that time. They were kids when they won it. They weren't 20 son. They were 18. And they were like, no, it was like a nuclear. Right. Anybody that's of age, I would say anybody 40 years old and has seen that, they remember that, especially if they rap as Luda. Especially all them Atlanta boys, definitely. But as Pimp C used to say that all the time. You need to listen to Andre. I got something to say. It was just, it hit everybody, because that's was the feeling. And it was just like, dang, you going to do that to the best of us. Like, now I'm going to just stand on what I'm on. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, kind of like how I moved on from there. But man,
that's such a good time.
Yes.
Yeah, for this round though, okay, just for this round, I have one more question. I want to honor your time. I want to honor our audience time with everything. I'm proud to say we still have an audience that's here with us.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. So finish this sentence for the people. This will be my last question for you, though, Don.
Okay.
Hip hop is not just music. Hip hop is Yeah, something to think about. Hip hop is not just music. Hip hop is what to you? This has been an amazing journey talking with L'Daialogue. He's going to jump back in, and then we're going to sign off to get his answer here. But if you ever want to be a guest on the platform, send us an email, thehiphopscholar3000@gmail.com. This is only first of many interviews we're going to have with L'Daialogue. So L'Daialogue, back to you, brother. Hip hop is not just music. Hip hop is
foundational Black American culture. 100%. Period.
Foundational Black American culture. I appreciate that. I stand with that too. I definitely agree. Break it down for us. Go ahead and break it down.
Oh, well, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion, and I usually, you know, like we get into these music discussions and stuff. It's been a lot of discussion about the origins of hip hop, and it's like it goes back and it's all, and I'm like, nah. You know, when you go in New Orleans, when I go down there and see Auntie and them, what's the most important element when you're making gumbo? It ain't that scrimp. I said scrimps. It ain't, you know what I'm saying, the other spices,
Nope.
it's the root. When you talk about when Cool Herc, what records was he playing? Yes, he was Jamaican. Shouts out to my Caribbeans, he was. But what was the records? He wasn't playing, he wasn't playing no reggae records. He was playing that funk. He was playing that soul. And that has always been, they sample so much James Brown to a point, even James Brown said, hey. Like, by the time we got to the 80s, it was like, man, y'all that sampled all my stuff. It was just, you sampling, shouts out to, rest in peace, Clyde Stubblefield, the drummer, Maceo, Bobby Bird, the whole JBs. Y'all done sampled that man so much. That was the basis of your sound. And then to go back into blues, and then when you go back, and then when you're going back and you're just like, well, what about blues? And you're going back to gospel. Even the discussion of gospel right now, it's like, nah, that's from the cotton fields. When they were doing the call and respond mixed in with that, or with the jazz. It's like everything is the black folks here. It's like we got love for everybody else, but I'm like, I think we pound for pound and got blues, country, jazz, R&B, soul, funk, I guess you would say psychedelic, which is still funk, and then you got hip hop. Period. Mm-hmm. That's us hands down. And then, even when it's getting, like I said, when things get corporatized in the capitalistic society, I have to sound a little whatever. When it gets like whatever, it's like, hey, go back in there. When it gets like that into, I guess when it gets so big and you're just like, well, nah, it wasn't those people that started it. No, because now the higher that they're getting, they're trying to get back to that essence. That was the whole thing of that movie. I keep saying Sinners because I love that movie, but it's like that essence. They kept trying to get that vampire walking and say, whoa, what's that? Up in that juke joint. And that's why I think a lot of stuff is going to go back to that whole old blues thing. It's going to go back to the juke joint, and I mean, it's going to be smaller. So what you're going to see, you're not going to see these big shows a lot. It's going to be these intimate venues. Oh, Lord, I'm my dog barking. It's going to be these intimate venues. Hold up. DD, get Spark out of here. Go. It's going to be intimate venues. It's going to be, I guess you would say, like, more focused. Yeah, my dog is tripping right now. But it's going to be intimate venues. You're going to see more focused lyricism. More so, people are going to talk about things really in their life. It's not going to be as aspirational as I got it made. You know what I'm saying? Special ed, I got 10 cars and stuff. It's going to be, hey, man, I'm trying to pay my bill, dog. That might be the song. I'm trying to pay my bill, dog. And folks going to feel it like, nigga, we trying to pay our bills. It's going to get back to that. Even the music is going to get back to that, because it's not a lot of love in R&B right now. It's not a lot of love right now, and it's everybody kind of whatever, especially black men, black women. That's a whole different discussion. But it's going to get back to that, because you ain't going to have nowhere else to run to. It's going to be like we're going to have to get back to depending on one another. It's just going to get. I think sometimes economics and capitalism makes stuff where it forces you to be like whatever. Because like in segregation, we couldn't shop at these places because you would get killed for shopping at these places. So it's like, well, let me make my own clothes and let me make this. And I can't perform at the Cotton Club. Let me go over here to this juke jump, or let me go over here. And I think now it's a fight, because corporate is like, yo, we want to lock them out. But if we lock them out, we're going to lose the sauce. So we need to get some of the top guys to get with us with influence. But then the thing is that they don't have the influence anymore. And that goes back to what I was saying, the letter to the tastemakers. The tastemakers don't have the influence that they think they have. I might have more influence than them. I've been a journalist. No, I'm from what you're writing about. I've lived that. So people are going to go there. They're going to say, well, Mel is talking the real. I'm not going to go over here to some whatever. They're going to come to the real, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, I believe in my heart that's what it's going to be, period. And you'll see it. I used to give things like 10 years. Stuff is moving so fast now, especially where we are as a country. I'm like, man, the world was burning 5 years ago. And then now, people had optimism and like, man, it's going to get better, and it ain't got better. You know, I done grew up. I've lived long enough to know. I'm like, nah, it's gonna get a little bit more worse, but it's gonna be something special that's coming. So
there you go. That resilience and that perseverance, and that encompasses that Black American experience. Is that perseverance, being resilient to a fault on any and everything that comes to it, and that rhythm and blues. You know, they love the rhythm but don't love our blues.
They hate the blues.
The truth is they hate the blues, but that's the reality. Blues. That's the only way you get to appreciate and understand the whole basis of why the culture is what it is. So, man, it has definitely been a joy to have you on, Brother Don. I really appreciate this, and this is one of many, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm coming back.
Here now.
I'm gonna try to get to my other office because I'm got a phone and laptop. I'm gonna set it up next time because I'm like, God, I'm grabbing everything, but we're gonna get it together though. I'm probably be in the office. I'm gonna get something else because I'm like, I got it halfway together today, but it is good to see you. No, it's good to hear from you. Yeah, it's good to hear from you. Because it's like, girl, I lost so many of y'all over not lost, but I just ain't seen everybody, man. But man, shouts out to the old crew. Shouts out to Chuck. He on the album though. They don't count. BJ, Spark is in Africa probably right now. I don't know if you remember my boy Spark. Spark been going back and forth to Africa and stuff, man. The old crew, man, from back in the days. But you know, I'm still doing my thing. New projects are coming soon, very, very soon. So, but yeah, definitely Ovaground Consistent Deluxe, man. Check that out.
For sure. Spotify, iHeartRadio, maybe even for a future podcast, we can debut it here. Do a debut.
Yes.
One of those, and we talk about it there, and then invite the audience back and do that. This was a very novel idea. It has been a wonderful and a joy and a blessing to see you too, Brother Don. To see everybody staying true to who we really are. You know what I'm talking about? When it comes to hip hop, you know, you can't fake the funk. It is who we grew to be and continue to grow to be as well. So yeah, big shout out to everybody from Xavier, Dillard, New Orleans, all together. Southside, got Gulf Coast, got Memphis, LA, all around the world. You know, thank you for joining us for the Hip Hop Scholar podcast. I am Melanie, the Hip Hop Scholar. We'll see you for the next one, and we out of here.
All right.